How are you doing?
Oh, another week down.
One more. Woo! We'll start a new part of the book tonight, right? Part 7, entitled Yoga. I'm not sure if you both had time to read previously or not. Let me.
I perused.
I'll share the screen here, no worries. Um, Part 7, Yoga. It's very interesting because Sherda will explain the power of reason, the power of our intelligence, and how the lack of intelligence can lead someone to very trouble situations, very problematic situations, right? So it's not only read the books, but try to put all this transcendental knowledge in practice. Um, does someone would like to start reading? Otherwise, I can read here.
Yeah, I can go over you.
Right, thank you.
The word buddhi indicates intelligence, reason, or judgment. It is the power to discern where to enter and where to exit, what to do and what not to do, in pursuit of our rational self-interest. Buddhi tells us what is benign and what is malign, what liberates and what enslaves. Buddhi makes these crucial distinctions. Above the fickle mind that likes and dislikes, accepts and rejects with subjective caprice, there is cool, calm, objective Buddhi, the voice of reason. Standing next to the soul in the scale of powers, Buddhi is reason that reasons to what is beyond itself, eternal soul. Indeed, when we are drawn to spirituality in this life, we reconnect with the Buddhi, spiritual understanding of our past life. Thus we again strive for final perfection, and with pure Buddhi, we qualify for spiritual existence. Some people claim, in the name of Scripture, that there is nothing more to life than trading piety for material rewards. But yoga is disciplined spiritual life. As disciplined spiritual life is possible only when Buddhi turns a deaf ear to material attachment and to religious texts that promote pious materialism. Thus, in our battle against attachment and illusion, our last line of defense is Buddhi. If we lose our reason, the soul is surely lost in ignorance. But in a life of joyful grace, prasada, we vanquish our troubles and Buddhi stands firm. This results from serious spiritual practice.
Would you like to comment something?
I've thought a lot about it, it said time and time again that spiritual progress is never lost, and how we pick up where we left off. Um, and it's said so simply, but in practice, it's very messy. You know, it's not as clear. Like even though there's no loss of diminution, we still have to go through the troubles of life, you know, it's such a burden. Like even though nothing's lost, we still have to go through the whole business of it, you know, and it's it can help us to take it more seriously, but I've also wondered like have I picked up where I left off yet, or am I still in that like when exactly? I didn't come out of the womb with, you know, chanting Hare Krishna, but here I am. And so it's Krishna he seems to give us back our spiritual understanding through the mechanism of what appears to be material life, and it's just I don't know how to describe it. It just seems like a messy process. I wish I could succeed already.
I don't know, if I understood what you're saying, it's that sometimes it's not like a clear line, right?
Yeah.
But ups and downs. And this can be messy. Is this?
Yeah, and well, not just that, like w where is this booty that we get from previous endeavors? Like it's preserved for us. It's not lost. Um, but do we come back to that? Are we given some understanding after 40 years of practice that it like is that where we left off, you know? Or the first time I got a Gulabjaman, and met the devotees, is that where I left off? Like where am I actually making progress, or have I just been treading water here at the same stage of advancement for millions of births? It's not it's hard to know if we're on the leading edge of our own spiritual advancement.
You don't have how to know
Mhm.
about previous lives, but when you look back to the point that you started Krishna consciousness in this life, do you do you think that there is some sort of advancement or not?
I do, but at the same time, I'm older, I'm more mature in general. These was the last 10 years of association with devotees, is that all just getting me back to where I started? You know what I mean? And so if nothing else, it's a really good reason to try and get it right this time, because picking up where you left off, I mean, that's a whole nother potentially 100-year endeavor. It's really exhausting to think about.
Yeah, and we come into these lives in Maya, right? And we're surrounded by the material world, and our karma chooses what we're going to be in our situation, our family, and we would never know what our past Krishna consciousness was, how far along we were, because Krishna gives us forgetfulness as well, and so we're not able to um know these things. But like I've always thought it could be as simple as we touched the Bhagavad-gita in the past life, and then we're given the booty to pick it up here, or we heard the Maha Mantra, like as a fly even. It doesn't we're not we don't even know if we were even humans in the last life,
Hmm.
right? So um yeah, I'm like you. I wish I knew, but I really appreciate what you said about it. Makes you want to finish your Krishna consciousness and become pure in this life so you can not have to do this again and again and again. Because
Yeah.
we're given the chance, however, we are given the chance, we're given the chance, but we also have the chance to mess it up and degrade ourselves.
Yeah, and
Right?
that's the perfect
Yeah.
word. Like life is just it's so degrading, just being in the material world. There's no dignity in it at all. And but yeah, there's no way to really assure myself that I am on the leading edge here, that I'm actually breaking new ground, and not just collecting all the results of my previous endeavors, trying to get to that point. Like maybe when I'm 60, I'll have all the the required life experiences to start making progress then, you know. It's
But
just so unclear.
you're making progress right now. We all are. We're right here. We're chanting. You know, like, that's what our my spiritual master would say. That's what I've heard others say. You know, they're way far beyond. You know, they've spent a whole life doing this, and they say, you know, as long as you're thinking about Krishna, you're serving, you're doing some sort of devotional practice, you're far better off than anyone else. And like we just continue.
So there's two different things. One thing is to maintain what you're doing already, which means no progress, you're just maintaining, which is not bad. It's really good if you can maintain your spiritual practice. But what I think that Banu is bringing is okay. Um, how can I measure if there is an advancement, right? Which is
Mm,
a very important question because if you don't ask yourself this, you cannot be blind and say, oh, I'm advancing, I'm chanting. No, wait a minute. You're maintaining, which doesn't mean that you're practicing on the best way or with the best state of mind, but what are the things that I use to really know if I'm doing some spiritual advancement or like wisely Ben said, like, okay, I'm older in some way or what will be different, right? Will be really wrong and weird if I wouldn't, if I was with the same mentality of 10 years ago. And that's why I asked to him, all right, but when you think about like since when you started, like, do you think that maybe you have the same level of consciousness without Krishna consciousness? Because naturally you have another level of consciousness, let's say, in the majority of people in, in a gap of 10 years, but with Krishna consciousness, how different this can be, right?
mhm,
Something got brought up at the Sunday feast today, how Srila Prabhupada was talking about different religious paths, and he said that you could judge the validity of those different faiths on whether or not they increase a person's love for God. And it made me think too that do I love Krishna more today than I did yesterday? Um, and it can change minute by minute. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. But yeah, that's something, I guess that's a good answer is whether or not I'm actually becoming attached to Krishna, is whether or not this is working.
I think the question itself is very valuable because many people don't even ask themselves, like, am I more attached to Krishna or not? Am I loving Krishna more or not? Right? And I think it's in the details uh, when you can really understand that there is nothing separate from Krishna. It For me it makes sense. Yesterday I was walking, chanting my rounds, and I saw beautiful, huge white lilies near the fence of a house. And I was like, wow, this probably smells so good. I want to smell this so good. And I was like, I paused for a minute. I was like, okay, Krishna, I'm offering this all for you first, like in a glimpse. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I need to offer this first for Krishna. Not because I need to, but because I want to, right? So this is the difference. Uh, some people need to be inside a specific place to think with the divine, to think about the divine, the supreme personality of Godhead, Allah, Muhammad, whatever. But Krishna consciousness brings you to the spirituality in your practical life. Like, okay, I'm walking and I can offer this to Krishna, even if Krishna himself is not like exactly here by my side, personified as a person, or if there is not an altar, right? It's between you and Krishna. And I think that this was something that yesterday I was like, oh, so cool. Like this is a relationship. It's spontaneous, right?
It's right there, and you said it perfectly. It's right there in the name of our movement, Krishna consciousness. It's in our consciousness. It's how our consciousness is. If our conscience isn't focusing on Krishna, we know we're not focused on Krishna. We know we're not in that mood.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good even to see things and have that inspiration. It's like still when I go grocery shopping, I'll walk by like the puppy section and I'll see all these puppy toys and I'll think in my head like, "Oh wow, he would this imaginary dog would really like that." And I'll think about getting it and doing something with the toy and this and just having it. And I'll have this whole story and but it's the same thing if you walk by a bush of flowers and just for a moment that thought comes in your mind that like, wow, Krishna would really like this. And
Yeah, I have those thoughts too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's such a nice closeness,
Yeah.
to think that way, just to be in Walmart too and be like, oh man, I could use this for an offering, or I could make
Hmm.
this or that or the other. Because when we care about something, it's spontaneous. It stays in our mind. And little things remind us of the other things we care about. Um,
Yeah. Let me back to share here. Uh, and this difficult word, opa, not reading. Okay. In this difficult word, Krishna tells us to seek shelter in Buddhi. Clear reason that tells us not to selfishly covet actions' fruits. Indeed, scientific findings indicate that people derive more pleasure by spending money on others rather than themselves. To renounce self-centeredness is not to renounce pleasure, but rather to find genuine pleasure in the devoted life. Virtuous happiness comes when Buddhi finds serenity in real self. Buddhi embraces the ultimate joy of self-realization beyond the mundane senses. Thus, with determined Buddhi, one should gradually withdraw the mind from illusory objects and fix in true self. With pure Buddhi, we see how to act without incurring karma. With steady Buddhi, we know and achieve the absolute, and with equal Buddhi, we see all beings equally as eternal souls, regardless of their body type or material condition. This equal Buddhi helps us to attain Krishna. But lust can infect our reason and cover awareness. Modes of passion and darkness corrupt Buddhi. In passion, Buddhi inexactly measures what is and is not moral, what is and is not duty. In darkness, Buddhi gets all matters backwards, taking the immoral to be moral. But when Buddhi detached from all material things, one gives up mundane life and attains perfection beyond karma. We need Buddhi to free ourselves from karma's bonds. Whether we tread the path of knowledge yoga, jnana yoga, or action yoga, karma yoga. So this is what you said, right, Banu? Like we need intelligence to be able to distinguish what it is and what is not, right? Resolute reason guides us with laser focus, but when resolve wakens, reason scatters in endless directions. Those who cling to mundane pleasure and power cannot focus Buddhi on the spiritual path. They fret over innumerable problems instead of pursuing a spiritual state that resolves them all. What then inspires and empowers resolute reason, Buddhi, to give up endless worries and solely focus on the spiritual path? It is none other than Krishna, who repeatedly assures that he will personally take care of us if we take his instructions seriously. Krishna comes to this world to rescue the righteous from their troubles. If we can grasp that he is the kind-hearted friend of all beings, we'll find the peace that eludes us. He personally brings prosperity and security to those devoted to him. He is our shelter, Sharanam, and true friend, urging us to come to him alone for shelter, Sharanam, from all troubles, assuring that he will thus find highest peace and everlasting abode, and that he will free us from all transgressions. Again, using the same word for shelter, Krishna tells the soul, seek shelter, Sharanam, in Buddhi. Thus, to seek shelter in Buddhi is to embrace the pure reason that guides us to devote ourselves to God. Grasping the spiritual logic or intelligence stops agonizing over the inevitable problems of this world, be they financial, social, psychological, political, historical, or whatever, and eagerly accepts Krishna's offer of shelter, sustenance, and eternal abode. Indeed, Krishna states near the Gita's end that one should rely on Buddhi, and thus dedicate all one's actions to Krishna, taking him as supreme and always thinking of him. Again, the specific Buddhi that one relies on here is pure reason absurd in God. After all, one who finally attains knowledge after many births realizes that Krishna is everything. Thus the Gita presents full devotion to Krishna as a supremely rational act, the fruit of pure reason, buddhi. Souls do not come to Krishna by rejecting reason. To the contrary, Krishna states that he personally gives Buddha yoga to the constantly devoted, who then come to him by that practice of pure reason. Indeed, the proof of pure buddhi is that one sees Krishna as the supreme person beyond all other persons, knowing that there is no higher understanding or scriptural truth. Conversely, those who lack buddhi think that Krishna is originally and ultimately impersonal and that he takes on a personal form for some purpose. Lacking buddhi, spiritual reason, they do not understand Krishna's higher personal nature. Someone would like to comment something?
I was thinking a couple paragraphs back it was talking about just all the problems in the world and stuff, and there's an old Listerine commercial where the whole kind of shtick is he says it burns because it's working, and that's how they advertised Listerine for a long time. And I think that about the material world now too. Like as we become more attached to Krishna, in a way, we suffer differently than people who are just totally materially engrossed. And in some ways, devotees suffer more than non-devotees. And I think about that commercial a lot in that respect too. It burns because it's working. We're becoming more and more uncomfortable as it's part of the design of it. We're not supposed to be able to really stick our flag in it. It's yeah, it's a losing fight trying to become comfortable in the material.
It only lasts for so long. I really like, in Bhagavad-gita, it's 10:10. Krishna says, to those who are constantly devoted to me, I give, and serving me with love, I give them the intelligence to come to me. So, like, he's given us the intelligence already. We just have to carry on and grow our spiritual practice. We've come to Krishna consciousness. That wasn't on our own endeavor. He gave it to us through our spiritual master, through meeting the devotees, however we got connected. It was ultimately Krishna who is giving us back. Or it could even be our first time. Really, it could be our first time coming into Krishna consciousness. Um, so he gives us the intelligence, and we just have to cultivate that intelligence and keep it going. I just, I have full faith that as long as I keep trying to be better at being Krishna consciousness, I'm going to advance. We all are, really, you know.
Well, like you said, Krishna, he's giving us the intelligence, but he's totally like he's paving our way for us. Like hindsight's always a little
Yeah.
different, but in hindsight, I could see that certain things have happened in my life, that I wouldn't have chosen for myself, but ultimately I am closer to Krishna now than I was in those times, and um it really makes me have more faith that, Krishna is he's bringing me closer to him if I'm willing to play along. And so at any point in the future, if it seems like things aren't going according to my plan, it's like, well, Krishna's got his own plan. It's I'm not really laying out the board here. He is. I just have to kind of traverse it and have faith
Hmm.
that Krishna, he is going to protect me and he is going to help me and bring me to him. Even if he has to, drag me to him kicking and screaming, I feel like he's he's invested in us in a really big way.
I like what you said there, Banu. As long as you said, as long as I play along, and it's true because we have free will, right? As long as we play along with our own intelligence, with our own buddhi, and follow his directions and what he has laid out for us. So it's all right here in the Bhagavad Gita. We will be okay. We have to have that faith because that's what he asks, that's what he says. But we also have the choice to not play along and to play by our own, be our own controllers, play with our own free will. And he allows us to do that because when we do that, we will eventually, it's like a pendulum. I think if we'll eventually swing back to being like, it's one of the four types of people who come to Krishna consciousness. The ones who are like just, I can't remember the exact wording, but they're just like they're like so fed up. They're just like, God, I gotta find God. They're just so frustrated with the material world and nothing's working. And the pendulum swings that way as long, because we're playing with what we can call our own intelligence, and we're not playing long. We're trying to figure out how to be rulers of this world and materially gain from this world. But I appreciate when you said that, as long as we play along, because we're playing along, we're trying, and we can increase that or we can decrease it. Because I've played along before and decreased it for decades, and it led nowhere good, nowhere good. So my goal is to not play along and not come back to this material cycle, this samsara.
Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of really great devotees have lamented it, having squandered, you know, so much time in this world. And even if we do that, at the end of it, even having squandered that, there is a taste in there, and even that can bring us closer to Krishna.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, what have I done? The consequences of my actions, this is all too much. And then that can also help us, you know, turn to Krishna.
Yeah. It makes me think of like these great acharyas like Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they were all had material lives before becoming great, and like the Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they were, they had these material lives until they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and like I know that's part of the Leela, but it's also an example for us that you know we have material lives and we can become pure devotees.
Yeah, it is.
Can be an example or not, right? Because we see many people who neglect their dharma, like their family, in claiming that they are following spiritual purpose and they are not. So we can see the realizations of these important personalities, but again, it all comes to buddhi, to how you use this intelligence or not. Because it's not only have buddhi, but how you apply this to your practical life. So if you're neglecting your wealth, you are not taking care of your physical body, you're not being responsible because part of your dharma is to take care of your health, right?
Hmm.
Uh, does can we continue the reading? Kala would like to read.
Yeah, I can read. I've stopped right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We stopped on worse, on the second paragraph. Third, sorry.
Okay. Worse still, the irrational, those with paltry booty, believe there is no God in the universe, no truth or foundation. Similarly, those with unformed booty believe themselves the sole authors of their actions, heedless of environmental and providential factors. We attain pure reason, buddhi, by devoting our reasoning to Krishna. We do that by taking Bhagavad-gita seriously. Krishna tells us to offer our buddhi to him and to fix our buddhi in him. Um, Moreover, Krishna himself is the buddhi of those who possess it, since he lives in our heart and gives us knowledge if we desire it. Bhagavad Gita presents its clearest and most succulent notion of spiritual science in the term Buddhi Yoga. The web page Oxford Dictionaries defines science as the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. Putting aside the question begging presumption that one can only systematically study the physical and natural world, we here focus on the intellectual and practical dimensions of such study. Buddhi indicates intelligence or reason, and yoga indicates practice. It is this term, Buddhi Yoga, that points to a spiritual science. Thus, Krishna claims to give a rational understanding, Buddhi, of the soul in both theory and practice, as Buddhi Yoga is far superior to ordinary action. Krishna bestows it on those always devoted to him. That's 10:10. That's the Bhagavad Gita verse I quoted. By depending on Buddhi Yoga, one is able to always fix the mind on Krishna. Let's summarize the essential and general traits of yoga, the spiritual path, and then explore the distinct traits of the chief yoga paths. 3 times in the Gita, Krishna says a person in a specific state of consciousness that is a yogi. Each of these verses describes a distinct qualification that enables a true yogi to see self, God, and other souls. Thus, 1. A yogi or spiritual practitioner finds joy, pleasure, and light within in the true self. 2. A yogi stands in unity and sees Krishna in all beings, thus existing in all circumstances in Krishna. 3. A yogi, by comparing self to others, sees equally everywhere in joy and sorrow. Once again, buddhi, spiritual reason, or discernment helps a yogi to properly see self, God, and other souls. A yogi is higher than one pursuing either knowledge, jnani, or action, karma. But what makes action yoga, karma yoga, better than mere action? What makes knowledge yoga, jnana yoga, better than mere knowledge? Or one could ask, what turns action into action yoga? What turns knowledge into knowledge yoga? To answer these questions, we will first examine these two famous yoga paths, then consider that which stands above both. Can you go back one page for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this caught my attention. This Buddha yoga is far superior to ordinary action, and Krishna bestows it on those always devoted to him. We're all doing actions, and I've lived a life of action, not even in karma yoga, just action for self, being super selfish. And at some point, Krishna gave me the intelligence to start practicing Krishna consciousness, and it's completely changed my life. And I will never look back. And I just hope to always be fixed in this practice and to improve myself daily. And like, it's a daily practice, and we can only be better than the day before, or we can be worse. But I'm hoping to be better daily. It's all there in the Gita. Krishna, we just have to follow his instructions.
I was something you read reminded me of. Maybe last week we touched on it. It's Bhagavad-gita 10:7, where Krishna says, "One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt." And it reminded me of this Buddhi yoga. Like if we understand Krishna, we'll automatically be drawn to serve. Like if we can see Krishna as the supreme and this, and if we can even rationally, even without any kind of feeling, if we can rationally understand the different opulences of Krishna, it's like, what else are you going to do but serve that person? Like, how could you not? And it's really reassuring that just by hearing about Krishna, um, we'll be inspired um, to render some service. Because that's just what you do when you hear about a great person,
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, I gotta do something. It's what an amazing guy.
And what we're doing now, just having Krishna Kata, is service. We're talking about Krishna. We're saying his name. Saying his name is service. Chanting our rounds is service.
True.
Yeah.
Would you like to continue reading?
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Or Banu, I don't know.
Okay, spiritual practice, yoga. It is often noted that the word yoga comes from the Sanskrit root yuj, meaning in the sense relevant here, to join, link, connect, to prepare, make ready, to use or engage, to meditate on and unite with God. Thus, without significant semantic stretching, we can say that yoga, both in the Sanskrit dictionary and in Bhagavad-gita, primarily refers to a spiritual practice in which one readies the soul to unite with God. The Gita knows and respects the fact that people are different, and so presents alternative yoga paths. True to its name, karma yoga, or action yoga, attracts active people who, like most of us, wish to act dynamically but spiritually in the world. Whereas jnana yoga, or knowledge yoga, suits those inclined to approach truth intellectually, philosophically. Krishna declares that the action and knowledge paths are ultimately one, for either practiced well bestows the benefit of both. A diligent, devoted karma yogi sees the soul as much as does the spiritual philosopher, and a successfully jnana yogi must apply knowledge in the world. Later in the Gita, Krishna also teaches dhyana yoga, or meditation yoga, designed for the mystic meditator. While Krishna does not rank karma yoga, jnana yoga, and dhyana yoga, he does clearly place bhakti yoga, the yoga of pure love, above all these others. Each of these yoga paths will be discussed separately, but first I'll explain the general characteristics of all such paths. It's I find it really interesting. It's also very funny to me, but that bhakti yoga, if we devote ourselves, it's the easiest path to Krishna. It's the easiest one to perform. It's the easiest one to understand. I'm not that as great intellectually as so many other people. But Bhakti Yogi, he just lays it out. It's for us. We have all these faults. We have less intelligence than other people had in different yugas, and our memory's awful. So, just it's the easiest path, and it's so great because he's given us such a chance, and all we have to do is take it up and go with it and do it. It's great.
Thank you. Let me back here. Equality, samatvam. Krishna first defines yoga as samatvam, equality, or evenness, a stoic state of consciousness in which one staunchly stays aloof from mundane attraction and aversion. This equality or equanimity is thus the opposite of and the antidote for dvandva, dualities such as joy and sorrow, victory and defeat, gain and loss, fame and infamy. In the above section on karma, I listed these dualities, saying that trapped in dualities and their streams of joy and sorrow, we love and hate material objects, forgetting that our real self exists beyond all material objects. Krishna explains that a true yogi can tolerate mundane dualities of pleasing and displeasing objects and situations because they are all outside, for instance, extrinsic to and ultimately separate from the pure soul. The yogi focuses within. Krishna used this language of outside and inside to describe, respectively, the physical world, which the soul perceives through material bodily senses, and inner spiritual reality, which the soul perceives directly, not through the medium of a physical body. For example, a soul detached from external contacts the physical body with the physical world by discovering the imperishing pleasure within the self. Thus, placing outside contacts outside where they belong, one practices yoga. Krishna often indicates inner consciousness with the word Atmani, within the soul, self, as in these examples. When one is satisfied in self alone, one's wisdom is fixed. One who delights in self alone, content in self, satisfied in self alone, has no worldly duty. When awareness stands in self alone, one is actually linked in yoga. Wherever the mind wanders, one must bring it back under control in self alone. Krishna also indicates inner awareness with the word antar, inner or within, as in these examples. That is a yogi who, with inner joy, inner delight, and real inner light, lives as Brahman and attains nirvana in Brahman. The most advanced yogi goes to me with inner self. Strikingly, yogis see not only within themselves, but also within all of nature. We should not cling to external nature, but we should see God and other souls within nature. Thus, a linked yogi sees the soul in all beings. One who sees Krishna within all and all within Krishna is never lost to Krishna, nor is Krishna ever lost to that person. A yogi abiding in unity worships Krishna in all beings. One who sees the Supreme Lord abiding equally in all beings actually sees. Seeing the Lord equally everywhere, one does not harm oneself. Then one travels on the highest path. Ooh, I will read this again. Seeing the Lord equally everywhere, one does not harm oneself. Then one travels on the highest path. That is the highest yogi who, by comparison with self, sees equally everywhere in joy or sorrow. Indeed, that pure yogi becomes a self, being the self of all beings. Thus, the best yogi, a purified soul with complete, deep, universal empathy, feels for every soul as if being that soul. Such a yogi sees each soul equally within Krishna and Krishna equally within each soul. Krishna is the ultimate basis of samatvan, equality, also called ekvatam, unity or oneness. All souls are part of him and are one with each other in him. We have already discussed in what sense Krishna is everything. He's all, for he encompasses all, for he is the source of all. This makes me think that, again, why people, why it's so problematic when people try to put their racism, their xenophobia, their sexist, their misogynistic thoughts in spiritual activities. Because if you're all spiritual souls, why do you care, right? Why do you care for the sexuality of someone? I was today on the Pride Parade here in Vancouver, and it was so beautiful to see people feeling less fear to express who they are, right? And how sad it is when we see that people think that they need to hide themselves in some sort of way to be able to join festivals or a community, not saying only in our context, but in general, and this can bring so much damage to the life of someone. It was very interesting that you both said you both raise the same question, like, what if this is my first human life? We don't know, right? And this makes me think about
That would explain why I'm doing so poorly.
you're saying by yourself. That's
Yeah.
not what I'm saying.
It's my first time, I'm sorry.
No, but really, this makes
I
me
just got
think,
here.
what?
I just got here.
This makes me think about how harmful it is when someone goes into a community and is rejected. When one steps into a temper and suffer into a temple and suffer physical aggression, like was my case in one temple. Like this shouldn't be like this. There's nothing spiritual in this. And those who refuse to take action when they are in leadership roles, they are agreeing with what's happening. If you are into a community and that says to be spiritual and treat people bad is the norm, really this is spiritual? So this is the importance of try to apply beauty, intelligence in all our actions, in all the bubbles that we are part, right? All communities. Because it's not something so easy or automatic. Many times we need to try to reflect, uh, okay, how does Shastras apply here? And this is not something so simple, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is something I think it's really common in ISKCON too. Like one of the last things you read, it's really emphasizing that we should be compassionate to other people. And
Mm.
like it's even one of the prayers we say more often than any others is that, you know, these devotees are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. And, you know, we should feel the suffering of other people, if for no other reason than if we don't, we'll later come to understand why that person is suffering by suffering ourselves. But a lot of people seem to misunderstand scripture to their advantage, not just devotees, but a lot of people do. You know, instead of trying to understand Shastra to come closer to God, we might accidentally try and understand it so that we could wield it to our own advantage, you know, to validate things we already feel, to 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 you know, to use scripture to make myself stronger, to make my feelings justified, to do this, you know, and to use it for your own advantage, for your own emotional upliftment, and instead of trying to save other fallen conditioned souls. Um, but it's sad how common it is in ISKCON, you know, when someone's really, really suffering. One of the most common answers is, oh, just chant Hare Krishna, you know, and it's such a dry, unfeeling response. And it's theoretically true, you know, that would solve the issue. Most likely, you know, if they could just chant sincerely, but there's so many roadblocks that people face. You know, there's so many impediments that we have that prevent us from chanting sincerely. And if we could just be more compassionate to each other and try and understand each other better and you know, just be more personal. Like we're supposed to be personalists, and a lot of devotees are just so impersonal in their just human interactions with other people, other devotees and stuff. It's easy to hide behind Shastra so that you don't actually have to have like genuine human connections with other people. Um, So I don't know. I feel like there should be a much greater emphasis on compassion in the Hare Krishna movement because we're all suffering just so much. The suffering in this world is it's phenomenal. But we don't want to feel that. We just want to you know go to church on Sundays and have a nice feast and then go about our business.
That's the thing, like straight to the point. Like, what am I doing to improve the life of others around me, you know? Like, as you said, okay, most likely it will help, but it's not only this. And if it's only this, there is something, like something missing. Something missing. Yeah. I couldn't say it better. Thank you, Banu. Well, I mark where we stopped here. So we'll continue this study next Sunday. And that's it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for
Oh,
association, Banu.
yeah, thank you.
Haribo.